Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Community Spotlight, where from time to time I'll be chatting with folks from around the Sonic and Sega community. Today that spotlight shines upon the vocal folks of the Radio SEGA community, and I've got 4 of them with me tonight. If we're going to just introduce them one by one, so if you want to start off by saying who you are and what you do.
Hello, my name's Gavi, or Gavin. I'm really not that bothered. I'm sort of the owner of Radio SEGA. I don't really do a lot there, apart from just own it, and I host Saturday Night SEGA, which is awesome, and everyone should listen to it, but that is me.
I'm Simon, probably better known as Forever Sonic. I'm sort of the other owner of Radio SEGA, but mostly I build it, host it, and do a show on Friday nights called SEGA AGES.
Cool. My name's Steve. I'm known by my screen name of Resident SD. I'm the long-time Radio SEGA fan, creator of SEGA AGES, and host of Late and Live.
Hi, I'm True, also known as Captain Cloud Chaser, and I'm the DJ for the SEGA RPG show, Sword of SEGA, and I also write various things for the website as well, reviews and stuff sometimes.
Hooray! So those are our 4 folks with us tonight. We'll be going through a fair bit of what Radio SEGA is, probably how it came about as well, if they can remember. It's been a while. And how they are in the community and such. I mean, we'll start from the very beginning. I mean, since pretty much nearly all of you are the long-time Radio SEGA people, how exactly did Radio SEGA come to be?
I think Steve's probably a better person to answer this, because I think he's been around a lot longer than I have.
Yeah, I'll happily take this one if you want. I mean, Radio SEGA was actually the creation of Sega Mark. He was the original owner of the station until in 2010, when it was handed over to Gavi. Now, he's been a long-time Sega fan, and I actually met him in Yahoo Chat. That tells you how old it was. I mean, that hasn't existed for years. And we did emulation sites, hosting ROMs, which all the cool kids were doing back in the day. He had one, and I had one as well. And somewhere along the way, he registered the domain of mysega.co.uk, which he was setting up as a collection of everything he had in the Sega-verse, really, the different games he had. There was going to be like a database and catalogue of all the stuff. And as an offshoot, he created a radio section. It was at radio.mysega.co.uk. I think it was originally called My Sega Radio, if I remember rightly. Very, very limited playlist, and we sort of gave that out to a few people. He was at university at the time, and he was giving out information to them, and it sort of caught on and ended up being quite a popular thing. So he came up with the name of Radio SEGA, registered the domain of radiosega.net, and sort of built it up as it went along. As I say, it started off as a sort of relatively limited playlist, and then he actually built up the capability to make requests as well, which I think is something that, if it wasn't the first to do it, it was one of the first. It was certainly the first I'd come across of a community radio station where you could actually influence it, not just, in terms of talking to a DJ, but it's a completely automated thing by the website. So that came about, and the forums as well. It sort of had a bit of a checkered history. There was a time where it actually went offline for about sort of 6 months or so, and then sort of came back bigger and stronger, really. And then there was this sort of grand vision of Project 7 that was going to take the thing forward. It's going to be live shows and all sorts. But as I'm sure the other guys will come to, the Project 7 development had a bit of it was a bit of a long slog, shall we say. So some of it came early, and we started doing live shows with myself. I presented the first live show back on the 12th of March 2010. So we've been going at that for almost over 2 years now. That happened recently, so that's sort of the basics, really. I mean, I'm actually not 100% sure how old the site is. About 7 years, is it? It's been going for, guys?
No, I think the thing is one of the things Mark told me, and I'm very guilty of, is when he kind of passed the reins over, he's like, there's one thing you're never allowed to forget. I was like, okay, and he's like, you cannot forget when Radio SEGA's birthday is.
Right.
And I can't remember when Radio
How did
SEGA's
that
birthday is. Well, let's just say that last year Radio SEGA turned 5, and we completely forgot.
Yeah.
So basically, I kind of see the release of Project 7 as being here's a belated 55th birthday present for the
all I can say
sixth
to
birthday.
you is that Radio SEGA existed when the first Summer of Sonic was on, and I mean the online convention in 2006.
That was 2006.
At least 6 years.
Yeah.
So it's at least 6 years.
I think 6 years sounds about right. I think 6 years does sound about right. It would have been. I know it's March, but I can't remember the actual day. So it has actually not long turned 6 years old.
Happy birthday, Radio SEGA!
Yeah.
I didn't buy you a cake or anything.
I mean, just.
Carry on.
Oh no, I was just going to say that obviously just going on the thing of the requesting the playlist and saying that it used to be quite limited. I mean, one of the things that I'd quite like to do, and we'll probably touch on this later when we come into the whole dynamic of the thing. More than just being a radio site, my sort of vision for Radio SEGA, if you will, is that I want it to be an archive of Sega music. First and foremost, because I don't think there is one anywhere on the net at all, you know, and I'd quite like if there ever came a day where I kind of, you know, stood down from the top step of Radio SEGA, which, you know, isn't going to happen for a long time because I love it, you know, to bits. My actual goal before I hand it down to like the next generation is that I want it to have as much Sega music as I can possibly get on there. Yeah. So
it's a good goal to have at the end of the day. I mean, it's always good to have goals going forward, especially in today's day and age where everything needs to be progressive.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, wow, it's pretty true. I mean, it's had a good start. I mean, six years is still pretty good these days for a website. I mean, 2006. I mean, you're looking back in 2006 at the latest as a start. You know, is still pretty good. I mean, from there you've obviously built up a pretty big forum community from what I've noticed when I've been on there. I mean.
Well, I think that's the thing, is that certainly the site has grown sort of exponentially, really, from a very, very small beginnings to what you see now. I mean, thousands of tracks on a playlist, a pretty darn cool website, and that allows us to grow and do things in the future, and a pretty good lineup of live shows, if I do say so myself. So we've come a long way, baby. You could say from some very humble beginnings to, you know, I mean, especially with the. Albeit for the moment temporary demise of Sega Sonic Radio, you know, I think it's good that we're around to sort of to fill that gap, really, and to bring people not only to sort of fill that gap to give people some live shows to listen to, but also I think in many ways our programming is quite different as well, and to a different standard. So I think, as I say, we've come a long way since the beginning, and I think there's still ways for us to go. As Gavi said, there's still things for us to do. You know, it's all ahead of us.
Definitely.
Definitely. It's always good. I mean, the stream itself. While I've obviously been on a couple of Saturday Night Segas with Gabby before, I mean, the one rule he's always told me there is to keep it, you know, strictly to Sega music, which, as you've pointed out, I mean, is a fair bit different to a couple of other radio streams, because they do have a bit of a more lax rule and let people play what they want to. And I mean, it can work with different audiences, but I mean, obviously it works well with your community. And I mean, has the influx of any SSR peeps, I mean, have they noticed it, and are they sticking around as much? Have you noticed?
And it's an interesting one, actually. Obviously, we've got Turbo doing his show temporarily on there, which has brought some people in. But I think a lot of the SSR crew, quite a few of them, listen to our shows already. We've brought them in already, haven't we? I mean, there's quite a lot of the sort of known as the TSS guys or of that listen to Saturday Night SEGA quite regularly, don't they? And have been on your show, Gavi.
Yeah. I mean, we've had people like Vija and T-Bird who have both, you know, listened in to the show and also hosted it. But yeah, I mean,
UK as well, been on a few times.
Yep. Yep, there's that. I mean, obviously, I can't really vouch for stuff like Sega Ages and Sword of Sega and the type of listeners they get, because it's a very well known fact that I'm notoriously bad at actually doing anything outside of my own show. In fact, I can't remember the last time I tuned
very
into.
Bad. Very bad.
Very bad. Very bad.
Well, you do say that. I mean, I do remember a time where it was very actively promoted about what the rest of the shows on the stream were for the upcoming week on every show. Was a very big time when that was about.
Where possible, we do still like to do that, because I mean, I personally am awful at listening to shows, but that's not to say that I won't. I won't try and stay up to date with what other people are doing. I mean, obviously, Simon and True would be able to comment more on like the sort of listener bases they get, and whether, I mean, Simon particularly, because Sega Ages is immediately after Turbo Drive Live at present, so whether or not he still keeps some of the listeners, from that show into his, I couldn't comment, but
I was going to say yes, that has helped. It's late and last afterwards. We sort of make the Friday evening, so that's quite nice there. Now, I have the tendency to either forget to announce or announce shows that are actually on. Things. I sort of announce things like Ultrawave that are on for the week anyway, and then forget things like jukebox and stuff. So I just sort of give shows and sort of think it's a lot easier to say there's a website. It's all there.
Yeah, I've spent ages writing the website. Visit it, damn it.
Yeah.
My work isn't for nothing. Yeah, I mean, quite a lot of people do. I mean, there are certain people who listen to a lot of our shows. I mean, the listen numbers do go up a little bit after Turbo Drive Live, because the thing about Turbo Drive Live, I love it, but it's quite a different show from what we do. So there's some people who sort of come in at Sega Ages more sort of traditional, but you're always going to get that. I mean, we've had situations where people stick to their own communities, don't they? There isn't always a sort of massive influx that goes over between different communities. So I wouldn't say that that hasn't been an effect. There's been a small effect, I think, but I think a lot of people, for reasons I don't particularly understand, I've got to say, are quite sort of territorial about the communities. I think, but we're trying. We're a very welcoming community, as pretty much anyone who comes into the chat room finds. I say, oh my god, lots of people saying hello to me. This is really strange. Most people are like, somebody's coming. I'm talking to other people. I don't care about you. I mean, we'll try and be nice and welcoming. So we certainly try. It's not for the want of trying. Certainly, I don't think.
No, I mean, one thing that I have noticed actually is more. Not so much we get people from places like Sonic Stadium, but for a while, and I don't know if this is still true, we did actually get a lot of people coming in from Sonic Retro. When we used to host Sega Fantasy Zone, which I think's currently on a hiatus or off season. Right. It might be back live by the time this actually goes out, but at present it's not on. But we did actually have a fair few from Sonic Retro who came in as well. So it's kind of funny that, in a sense of community, in the Sonic and Sega sort of things, we are quite small. Yet the ties that we've got to the bigger sites are there for like all to see, really.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, it's always good. I mean, I've held this thing for a while. Is that there needs to be a thing that can pull communities together, and I do think the radio shows do that better than anything else. Because, yeah. Because forums are, as you've already said, Steve, forums are very territorial with who they are, but people will listen to music regardless of where it is, and they'll always go and chat. I mean, IRCs are IRCs, so they don't really matter. But no, I think radio shows are the really big striking point of pulling like different communities together, as it were, at the moment.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
we're sort of the only game in town at the moment, as well, which sort of helps.
That does help.
Yeah, that very much helps.
I mean,
you want to listen to some live Sega shows? Well, come this way.
Yeah. I mean, something that I'm sure True would probably be able to expand on, mainly because she's not said anything yet. I quite like to have is definitely, if you actually look at of all the shows that we offer on Radio Sega, I think the most popular one by a long shot has got to be Sword of Sega, because it's just how unique it is, and it's just amazing. And I think if you've never heard of Sword of Sega, you just need to hear about it. It's just amazing.
Oh, thanks very much. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
In terms of listeners to Sword of Sega, to be honest, I've never really noticed, and that sounds kind of bad, but you have you use your regulars that come into the IRC, and we all have a laugh and we all have fun, and it's always the same kind of guys, although we did have some random Japanese people last time, but I think that was an April Fool's thing. But anyway, so we do get new people, but it's mostly the regulars, and yeah, it's just really for fun. So I don't really notice if they're from TSS or if they're from like Sonic Retro or anywhere. They're just there, you know? Does that sound bad? But I mean, we do get some people. We get people from Radio Nintendo as well, and they seem to like the RPG side of stuff.
I like Radio Nintendo. I like the fact that that I'm quite good friends with Green Yoshi, who's obviously the owner, and the fact that everyone seems to think that we've got this huge rivalry. Yeah, if they actually knew how much we've actually tried to collaborate on in the past, it'd be unreal.
I know. I mean,
and as you said, we get loads of RN people in our chat room and loads of RS people in their chat room and listen to their shows.
Definitely.
So yeah, there's a surprising amount of travel between the two. You wouldn't have thought it, would you?
No.
Never would have happened in the 90s. But it can happen now.
I mean, while we're still talking about shows, I do want to just jump back on sort of Sega. I mean, it is a very different show to, I mean, even Turbo Drive Live, which is temporarily on the Radio Sega stream at the moment. I mean, it does offer a lot of difference there. I mean, but even going back to season 1 and I believe season 2 at the moment, you still have your themed shows, don't you, on like one particular piece, and you do your adventure based on what's happening in that episode at the time, don't you?
I think I'm starting to run out of themes now, to be honest. We're covering most of the major games, and well, Sega RPGs in themselves, they're not exactly that well known to the general gaming audience, I'd say. I mean, they're all kind of a bit obscure. Even Phantasy Star Online and Valkyria Chronicles isn't really that well known when people talk about Sega games, but the main kind of draw, I think, has been the role-playing adventure that we've been doing, but it does take a hell of a lot of work, to be honest, just to kind of plan it all out and organise it and try and make it fun, but also kind of easy-ish, because some of the tasks that we have basically require knowledge of Sega RPGs, and I think a lot of people find that kind of difficult because it is a bit obscure. But I think people do appreciate the music, at least, because RPG music in general is very orchestral, and it's pretty nice, I'd say.
Oh, definitely.
It's just the music. It's definitely, as you're saying, is the work that goes into it. I mean, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible, and sort of it as Gabby said, it deserves to be listened to because the amount of work that goes into it. It's incredible. It really is.
Definitely.
It's all worth it, though.
I'd hope so. I mean, I'd hate for you to get to all that work and then it just be wasted. So I'm glad it's worth it. I'm glad people are liking it, and I'm glad you're continuing it. It's a very good thing. I think it was one of the shows I definitely missed when it went off the air for obvious reasons. But it's good for it to be back, and I think the stream and the listeners definitely welcome it.
Hear.
Thanks.
No worries.
You're embarrassing me now.
Let's jump back to another point. I mean, you've mentioned Turbo's temporarily on Radio Sega while SSR is down, and with Simon obviously doing Sega Ages and Steve, you're doing your late and live show. It's become quite a blockbuster filler on a Friday night. And how have people, come to this? Because it's how long in hour chunks is it exactly? I mean,
It's 4 hours altogether.
4 hours altogether.
8 till 12 UK time. Friday nights, listen. Yeah.
RadioSega.net.
But how are people, doing this? Are you getting a lot of people that are just jumping in on a Friday night, just enjoying it and jumping in and listening and getting involved?
Yeah, the listen numbers are fantastic. I think probably all told, Saturday Night Sega is still the biggest show altogether. But Sega Ages, which is the most popular on a Friday night, isn't too far behind, and plenty of people listen for Turbo Drive Live at the start, and the people who want to stay up an extra hour listen to me afterwards as well. So there's a good slug of people who do the whole thing, and I think the reception's been fantastic. People look forward to Friday nights, which means we're sort of doing our jobs right, really.
Especially, say, as Late and Live is usually all requested out before Fridays.
Yeah.
Although there was one exception this week. But
yeah, exactly.
usually,
It was slow last week, and there's still a few slots left this week. There's a few more days to go.
Oh, that's good. Again, it's nice to have your varying shows on that day as well, because obviously Turbo does what he do. You've got your request show. Simon does Sega Ages, which I presume is still doing songs from different eras, or have you moved on to a different mechanic with that show now?
Funnily enough, I've just about finished all of the years. Since Resident SD used to do it, I've now gone through all the years, so I now need to start thinking of either other themes or starting the years again. But we have had alternative themes, things like the Battle Royales, where you can pit soundtracks head to head, things like classic and modern mixes of Sonic Generations, the Mega Drive and Saturn versions of Sonic 3D, and things like that. So we have had sort of other type themes, and I need to sort of think of one of those fairly soon.
And we've had sort of like DJ specials as well. We've had the June Sonora. We've had even Richard Jakes in the chat room for his show, which was just an incredible night. That was absolutely incredible.
That was one
surreal.
of, I have to. It was very surreal. Yes, it's one of those where you just had to be there. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
I think the funniest moment was the fact that, because Sega Ages has got this game called In Reverse, where obviously you just basically play tracks backwards, and Richard Jakes was thinking, yes, I'm going to have a go at this, and at this point in time, I'm basically I'm flying in the lead, and it's just I can hold some sort of personal pride, sad though it is, that I beat Richard Jakes in a game based on his own music.
Yeah, he's rubbish. He's rubbish, that RJ is. He's better at composing music than he is guessing his own tracks, let me tell you.
Yes,
he has done a fair amount, let's be fair.
Yeah, when it comes to I was going to say, when it comes to Sega music, he hasn't really done that much, has he?
Not recently,
I guess
no.
not.
I think it's kind of faded out.
Sonic
obviously
Generations
he was back on
is
the
his most
Generations
recent.
tracks, wasn't he? But before that, I think it all kind of faded out.
Prior to that, I think it was Headhunter. Headhunter Redemption.
Yeah, we're looking back on the PlayStation
Superstars Tennis as well, didn't he? Which was a bit. I know it's not much, but he did music for Sega Superstar Tennis. You know, that massive game that everybody loved.
Yeah, no, he did.
But
right.
He very, very little really, but still enough for a very good show, and an amazing night was had. I had a chat with him in private chat as well, and it was just incredible. It really was.
Cool. For him to just jump out of a busy schedule and just jump into a stream like that it's really good. I know it could quite possibly feel surreal. I've had a couple of those moments recently as well. So, but moving on, there's a couple of other shows we've got to talk about before we get on to Saturday Night Sega itself, as I know Gavy's itching to talk about himself. So,
Big up me! Big up myself!
You've had a couple of new and welcome back editions. Obviously, Radio Redux has recently started back up live. Obviously, it's had a few technical issues, but by the time this goes out live, presuming Kev, Archangel UK, will be back on his feet, getting his shows out probably. But you've also had Tool Guy, Andy. He's got Ultra Wave out. How's that been receptive so far?
Well, I think people are liking it because it's a bit different, but it's kind of hard to tell. it's. I mean, the thing is the fact that obviously on Radio Sega it's not actually on that frequently because Ultrawave does mix between Sonic, the communities of Sonic and My Little Pony, which I'm never going to get used to saying that ever. So it's not
surreal.
Yeah, it's not something which is on all too frequently. And I think we've only actually at present only had 2 episodes on.
Of which only one of those was actually live. The second one was a pre-recorded episode, but
so,
then again, that was all requested out, so it certainly was very, very popular.
I think because it's in the fact that it's different, because it's a request show based on Sonic the Hedgehog, and because there's like 5 million games that came out, there the actual scope for requests is quite large, so you can certainly get a good show out of it. But after 2 episodes, I don't think at this present moment in time, I don't know whether we're in the right sort of state of mind to say whether or not it's been successful. I think it needs a little bit longer to really see if it grabs people.
Yeah, I've listened to them both live. The first one was actually really, really successful. It was really popular and everybody was getting really into it. It's hard to tell with, obviously, the pre-recorded ones. But the great thing about even pre-recorded shows is that people still go into the IRC and still chat about the show and still chat with each other. So that's really kind of cool. But I think with more live shows, then it will really take off. Though I do think there was some initial confusion about when it was actually on at the start, because it wasn't really clear
announced when day as usual.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah. No, it's good. I think with having a Sonic the Hedgehog like exclusive show as it is, because again, I know from being on the air with you, Gavi, that a lot of people request Sonic music itself, and you really do like people to get out of that mindset and request Sega music as a whole. So, I mean, as a show that's directly Sonic the Hedgehog based, which is very big in the West, obviously, I mean, it's probably a good idea as a separate show on its own, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd say so. Yeah, I just think I think the problem with Radio Sega is a lot of our listeners, because they come from some of the Sonic fan sites, that's all they know. So it's nice to be able to open people's eyes a bit and be all, listen to this. This is Echo the Dolphin, and everyone's like, oh my god, I did actually play that when I was like 6. But it is a little. Sometimes it is a little annoying where you can do a show where it's like, please don't request any Sonic tracks. We want to try and play something diverse. And somebody who started tuning in 2 minutes ago and would have heard that goes, "Can I have Live a Life from Sonic the Movie, please?" And it's like, okay, it's not a game, but still, you're kind of missing the point.
You don't get that problem on my show, not at all.
No, because all you've got is Sonic Chronicles. You've only got one.
Yeah, I threatened to play that, and no one's interested.
Well, I don't really know what the big deal is. I mean, yes, okay, the sound quality was awful. It was woeful. But if you actually look past that, and again, actually, ironically speaking about it, it's another Richard Jakes game, isn't it? But if you actually, in bits anyway, I think. But if you actually,
half of it, yeah.
Yeah, if you actually could clean the instrumentation up a bit, or the actual sound quality, it's a very good soundtrack. It's just encoded terribly.
You've fallen down the stairs, yeah.
I can't agree with you.
No, it is.
Let's be fair. I mean, when it comes to like remixes and stuff, I mean, people made. You remember the jazz scat version of Sonic 4 soundtrack? That was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm quite sure if someone did the same thing with Sonic Chronicles, then it could sound pretty good because it will have a CD quality.
Well, this is the thing. It doesn't even need a remix. It just needs somebody to find the masters and just clean them up a bit. It was just the fact that I think they tried to go for what sounded like a big band, and with it being BioWare's first game on a handheld console of the DS's power, they just got the soundtrack entirely wrong. The music itself was pretty good, but it's just the way that it was encoded. I mean, the only other thing that I can think of that comes quite close is Jet Set Radio on the Game Boy Advance, where again it's a case of let's just take some music from the Dreamcast version and try and encode it so it can fit onto a 32-bit handheld. And again, it's another awful soundtrack. But you know, Sonic Chronicles is just very much. I love the soundtrack to bits. I think the battle themes are amazing. And I seem to be the only person in the world that goes, Sonic Chronicles, wow, what a great soundtrack. And people was just like, okay, get the white coat out, he's lost it.
The battle themes are great. I have no argument with those.
Yeah.
But anybody who says Nocturne is a good track needs shooting.
Well,
Yes.
I'm quite sure that Gavi will live to regret that remark when this
hell yeah.
goes live.
Yeah, because I'm Nocturne on Saturday, so
I'm fairly sure I've been mentioning this on Saturday nights when I play Sonic Chronicles music, and everyone's like, "Why are you playing this for?" And it's like, because it's good.
Well, speaking of Saturday nights, I mean, let's move on to Saturday Night Sega. It's about the only show left that we haven't talked about this evening.
Well,
so
no,
far,
not unless we go into the ones that we don't air anymore, you know. And I don't think we're in the right sort of place to be discussing some of those shows, really. But
well,
yeah, they're all probably not.
I mean, as you've very highly publicised, you've hit the longest running Radio Sega.
Yes.
Only show.
Yeah, the reason is I had to word this very carefully because it was pointed out that because Radio Redux is now counted as a Radio Sega only show because it doesn't air on SSR anymore. I believe that's on about episode 150 something. So I've basically had to go with the line of it being Saturday Night Sega being the longest running Radio Sega exclusive show because I've never done a show anywhere else. With the exception of like 2 bonus hours that I did for.
I was going to say, Children in Need stuff is a little exception, isn't it?
No. The Children in Need stuff was all on Radio Sega, and the first 2 hours we did classify as being a Saturday Night Sega episode. But I was more thinking the 2 hours that we did for Project 24 on SSR. The 1 year where we just basically we had like everyone from Radio Sega that I could find at short notice, and then the second year was basically my entire the one that we did last year. The entire show went to pot because of some technical difficulties with the stream. We couldn't get it to set up. So as soon as we got it working, it must have been about 1:25 in the morning. I just basically decided this show's already gone to pot. We're just going to play 35 minutes of Sega dubstep, and it actually, for those of you who it actually went really, really well. I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people really liked that sort of show at that sort of time of night. There's just something about it. So yes, in terms of longest running show, yeah, Saturday Night Sega is the longest running because we've been there since the start. But give me about another 6 months and I'll have overtaken Radio Redux, and then it'll be the longest running show, full stop. Because I would imagine by then SSR will be back online, so Turbo would have moved off, and then it's all mine. So not far off.
But I mean,
not far off indeed.
You've done quite a few varied shows over its long life, haven't you? I mean, there's been the ones where you did in a different language. I believe someone mentioned. I saw on the Twitter feed the other day.
It wasn't so much trying to do one in a different language. Basically, what we tried to do was very, very early on. I think this is like episode 7. I had the idea of let's try and for a day, let's try and get somebody who speaks a different language to introduce the show. And the first one that we decided to do, because we have a couple of Portuguese members, is we decided to do it in Portuguese. And that was the only time I did it. You know, we're talking like 100, nearly 95 episodes later, or just over 95 episodes later, and I've never done it again. But no, we did that. I've had special shows where we've kind of taken a bit of a Sega Ages slant and focused on a particular game series or an artist. The first one that we did was of the Sega Sound Team band, or the SST band, which I was actually quite surprised when that episode aired, how many people had never heard of them before. You know, prior to that show, And that was quite popular. We found ourselves some favourite tracks in there, most notably the Bonanza Brothers medley, which sounds a bit weird.
It's all well and good. I mean, speaking on soundtracks, we'll divert a little bit here. Going around all four of you, what is your favourite game soundtrack that you find yourself going back to in like an emergency at one point? Like, if you're looking for music, what's your one thing you can go back to play?
At the present moment, Sonic Generations. It's too recent and it's too awesome. But other than that, I find myself leaning a lot on Jet Set Radio and Ollie King. For Saturday Night Sega, we do actually have not so much those types of soundtracks. We have the what you'd call the fan favourite tracks, which I think we could probably go into a little bit later. Stuff like My Dear Friend Rally from Sega Rally, and yeah, it's just amazing. And you've got other stuff like that: Jet Set Radio, Future, and Aisle 10, Passion from Metropolis Street Racer. I have soundtracks that I can lean on, but you also know that there's specific songs that you can get a reaction from. So yeah, that's what I tend to lean on.
It's an interesting question, actually. I mean, my favourite soundtrack is the Japanese version of Sonic CD, but I'm not sure I sort of generally go back to that much. I mean, I sort of go back to a lot of these sort of Mega Drive-y sort of stuff, your Streets of Rages and stuff like that. If you're sort of stuck in a bind, stick one of those tracks on, you normally do all right, but it's not something I've really experienced a lot, to be honest.
Well, if it helps you get bonus points for favourite soundtrack with me.
All right, so. That's fair enough then. Sonic CD Japanese version.
I love that track. Simon?
Sort of keeping on the Sonic theme, I suppose. The one I tend to like because of its, I don't know if diverse is the right word, but although I don't actually own the discs, the Planetary Pieces from Sonic Unleashed or Sonic World Adventure.
Yeah.
Because there's sort of a couple of tunes there I tend to sort of pick up an instrument and play along with, if I can.
No, I can completely agree. I've been a big fan of the whole orchestral way that the Sonic team have gone recently.
Yeah, I think with Sonic games, it's definitely Sonic 06 included. They've hardly put a foot wrong in the musical department. But what they did with Unleashed was just amazing. I mean, the
sort of thing you can rely on is that even if the game is rubbish, the music is normally good. You can rely on that, can't you?
Yeah, I mean the Night Battle theme in Unleashed. Oh my god!
Yes.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
What about you, True? You got a particular soundtrack?
Well, usually every week I kind of plan out each show, and I have specific songs or tracks that I will switch out as fillers if anybody has any requests. But usually people don't know what RPG tracks to pick, so that doesn't happen that often, actually. It's usually requests beforehand. But the Phantasy Star music tends to be the most popular, specifically tracks from recent Phantasy Star games like Phantasy Star Online and Universe and Portable. They tend to be the most popular, and Shenmue as well, I think, is quite a popular one. But generally, if I'm stuck for a track, I'll just slap in some Skies of Arcadia and be done with it, That'll do me.
Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong.
Aye.
But, I mean, as Gavin mentioned, let's sidestep a little bit more. There are fan favourite tracks. I know where with... I think it was your first show back, True, for this season. There was one from... the Phantasy Star Online series, which had like 1 billion remakes. I can't remember. Is it Save This World?
Save This World, yeah.
That seemed to be a bit of a fan
That's
favourite.
That's a massive popular song across all of Radio Sega. Actually, I mean, it's
the
always
orchestral
requested
version.
on.
The orchestral
it's always
version,
on
definitely.
Saturday Night Sega. Well, not always, but it's definitely a popular one.
It's quite a good story as well, because that was found by accident, wasn't it, Gavin?
It wasn't found entirely by accident. Basically, Mr. Stream, who makes like awesome music, he'd actually requested the vocal version of Save This World from Phantasy Star Universe, and I'd never played it before, so I think this is the first time I'd actually played anything from that game, so I don't tend to go hunting in folders unless I need something. So I opened the folder up and I was like, oh, there's an orchestral version. I wonder if that'll do. So I said, do you mind if we play this, because a bit of an orchestra might help to sort of break it up. And he was like, no, go for it, that's fine. Obviously I'd never heard the song before, he'd never heard the song before, all he was thinking of was the vocal theme. So I put the orchestral version in, and basically what happened afterwards was basically the greatest 7 minutes of music that I think we've ever stumbled across.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those tracks where you think, just when you think it can't get any better, it does again and again and again and again. It's incredible. It really is.
I mean, I got Mina, my other half. She listened to it as well, and we both kind of mutually agreed from about the fourth listen that it has got to be on a wedding playlist. So it's going to be kind of our way of acknowledging that we are geeks at heart, because we are. It's not like a first dance sort of thing, because that's not. Well, it would work.
That'd be one long ass. I'll tell you that much.
It'd be a very. It would be a very long one. But it's I mean, the song would certainly suit, but it's definitely going to be played there, and it's just such a beautiful track. If you've never heard it before, just get yourselves onto Radio Sega and just request the orchestral version of Save This World from Phantasy Star Universe, and just. You have to experience it. You really do. You really do. But after you finish listening to us babble on for another however long we've got, do it at the end. Don't do it now. You'll miss good stuff.
What about you, Steve? Do you get anything that's requested on a regular basis these days?
Ooh, it's a tough one, really, because especially in my new show, we haven't been doing it that often. So, I mean, one that always isn't too far around, and I have played it once on Late and Live already, I believe, is a bit of the old sex sounds on Sega Radio from the first episode of Saturday Night Sega, Bit of Passion, from Metropolis Street Racer. A track that we'll never enjoy as much as she does.
No. No, I actually.
But we try.
Wasn't that? I can't remember the answer to it, but wasn't that actually a question that we posed when Richard Jakes came into the chat room? And basically, what was you thinking? And if I remember rightly, and unfortunately my chat logs would never go this far back to check, I'm fairly sure his response was, "I don't know."
Yeah. Well, let's be honest, the MSR soundtrack is sort of screwed up in many different ways, so I don't know what he was on, but I want some.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
In fact, you've got me curious now. I am actually going to have a look. So at some point, if I do sort of scream Eureka, I have found it.
Yes. I have the personal chat log somewhere, but not the chat room chat log, unfortunately, and I regret that, because I don't know
if mine goes that far back, but we'll have a look.
2 years ago.
Yeah, long time ago. It was one of the first Sega Ages shows, wasn't it? It was the first non-year one, if I remember rightly.
Episode 5, I believe. It was the second non-year one, because I did a Dreamcast show, but I think it was episode 5, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. We never did get Jun Sonoy in his one, though. We tried. We really did try, but he didn't bite. His website
we had almost the entire community, though. So
yes,
that was good enough.
Yeah, that's got to be is it the first and possibly only show to actually fill up the server and spill on?
2 shows that have filled up Radio Sega server. There was that one which got 55 in total, and Radio Sega holds 50. And then we had Fast Feet hosted a 19th birthday special for Sonic, and that got either 52 or 53. I can't remember the exact number, but there's been a couple that have got over 50. And Sega Marks, it was like, oh my god, I'm setting up Shoutcast on my computer and setting as an overflow to sort of get people in. But yeah, I mean, we sort of got lucky really, because I think it was during Radio Redux the week before. One of the people who was in there was part of the June Sonoy forums, and I can't remember for the life of me her name. I feel terrible for not remembering. But she was like, "Yeah, I'll post it in the June Sonoy forums," and I thought, "Oh, we'll get another 1 or 2 people." Suddenly, it's on their front page, pages and pages. I want this, want that, I want this thing, and it just went mental. I couldn't believe it, and that actually did bring in quite a few people as well, and a few of them stuck around for. I mean, went from that to Commodore 64 the week after, and quite a lot of them still listened. So that was it was incredible. So a couple that have maxed out. It's been a while though. We need to do that again at some point.
On that topic, I think the Commodore 64 show you did was probably the show that was listened to the most amount of people.
It was definitely a watershed moment. Certainly, I mean, I edit my own podcasts, and there's been very few occasions when I was going through editing and doing the chapters, because we do chapter podcasts. I'm sure people are aware. I was going through doing the edits. I was like, oh my god, this show is incredible. And you ask lots of people who listen to Sega Ages, what was your first major memory of Sega Ages, and for some people they still say what's their favourite show, and they'll say Commodore 64 show, because it was just I think it was a real blindside for people, because we've got all this great orchestral music and techno and dance and really good quality chip tunes. It was like, we can play some 8-bit stuff now, and it's going to be awesome. And people were really receptive to it, and there's been a second Commodore 64 show in the second series, and it's infiltrated the playlist, and people love it. And if you've never listened to the Sid chip, request intro from Turbo Outrun on our playlist. You'll want to listen to more, trust me.
It's funny, really, though, because you couldn't do an 8-bit show of like Master System music. There's just something about the there's something about the Commodore 64 and its sound chip that really makes it special, because you couldn't do a Master System one and be as popular.
No, probably not. I mean, something about, I don't know what it is about it. I mean, the sound quality is good, but then again, the sound quality of the Master System's good. There's just something about it that sort of gets people's imagination going, gets people in. And I mean, I mentioned this in the show at the time. It was a bit of a shining light compared to the other home computers at the time of your Spectrums and your Amstrads, which sounded crap, really. I mean, they weren't particularly great. It was bleeps and bloops if you were lucky, really. Whereas you've got this other computer who was doing amazing things, and even though, I mean, the NES has got a great community with its music as well, but it's just something about the Commodore 64. There's something about it.
Voice samples on an 8-bit sound chip.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's quite a funny story on that. The intro track from Turbo Outrun, which was created by Jerome Tell of the Maniacs of Noise. He actually recorded the same clip at the start, and it says sort of 1, 2, 3, hit it, Outrun, and he actually says 1, 2, 3, because that's the only way you could actually get it to sound right on the Commodore 64. But yeah, there's a lot of voice clips in there, and it's just amazing what you can get onto a cassette, really. We've got developers moaning about, how do I get this into a gig on Xbox Live? Well, these people were creating all this stuff and it fit on a tape. It's just, it's incredible what you can do when you've got limits. It's sort of an overriding thing, I think, in computing, really, which is going very deep here and nothing to do with Sega. Sorry about this. But, what people can do when they have...
I told you we'd go off topic. I won.
Use the Unreal Engine that's 50 meg. They said it couldn't be done. And I'm going to shut up now.
And if I remember rightly, that was one of the first shows to actually be played to passers-by.
Yeah, that's right. During the first series of Sega Ages, we had a gentleman who, again, I can't remember the name of, who worked at a Chinese restaurant in Menorca, and he actually had Radio Sega on in the bar. And
I remember him.
Commodore 64.
Yes.
Yeah, had the Commodore 64 episode on, and he actually tweeted us to say, I think his name was Dave, I can't remember what his Twitter name was. No. And he actually tweeted that some people listened to the music of Commodore 64 and actually came into the restaurant because of that. So that was another incredible thing. I mean, I couldn't believe that when I heard it. I mean, the fact that we got some bloke in Menorca listening to it at a restaurant is pretty incredible. For him to actually play it in the restaurant and it to draw people in, and that was the SID chip of all things. Not some great orchestral track. It was Commodore 64 music that got people off the streets and got them into the all-you-can-eat buffet. It was just unbelievable. It really was.
That's really, really weird.
I know. Tell me. I just couldn't believe it. You wouldn't, of all the shows to bring people in, you wouldn't have thought it'd be that one. But
it's moments like that make me smile.
It's what it's all about, isn't it?
It is. I mean, you know, as much as publicly, you know, I like to put on this act that Saturday Night Sega is amazing and it's the best thing in the world ever, and you should all listen to it and inflate my ego. In truth, you know, I just in real life, it's actually really, really nice to see that every show that we've hosted has done well.
Oh yeah, I think every show has had its moments and sort of great parts, really. Even for sort of those of us who are just getting going again. I mean, they've all had their great moments. I mean, for every show,
still
I
missing...
name you an amazing thing that's happened.
Yeah, I think I'm still missing my moment. You know, where I will be able to sit back for a singular show, where I'll be able to sit back and go, that will define Saturday Night Sega forever.
I don't know, me to scare the crap out of you defines it for me.
Well,
I'll be fair, I think your defining moment has been the Segathon.
Yes.
It has.
Yes.
It has. That is it. I mean, I'm when I say for Saturday Night Sega, I'm looking for like as an individual 2-hour show. But to actually sit down and at 10 o'clock on a Saturday evening go, right then, for the next 24 hours you're going to be hearing nothing but me. And there were people, seriously, I can't remember names, so unfortunately I can't drop anyone in it because I would like to laugh at them. But there were people who said, you will not do it. You will not get to 24 hours, you will stop. And at 10 o'clock on Sunday evening, I was like, thank you very much for the past 24 hours. We have raised over 750 quid for children in need. And it was bloody tiring. There were times where, I mean, it wasn't, you know, it's a metaphor here. It wasn't actually a physical feeling, but there were times when I was literally so drained and basically close to tears. It was like, why am I still doing this? And there are no words. There really are no words. That show, one of the most surreal things I can ever remember, and I do remember this quite vividly because it's messed my sleeping pattern up forever. I now find that I need to be up at 7 o'clock the next morning to go to work, and yet I'm still awake at 3 o'clock in the morning going, I should probably go to sleep now. And I wake up and I feel fine. So it's completely messed with my system. But the weirdest thing that I ever had was, obviously we was in the Radio SEGA IRC, and it was watching people leave at 11 o'clock at night and then seeing them come back again at 10 o'clock the following morning. And going...
Yeah, but that's quite strange.
It's very... If you've never done it before, it is so weird. It's like, oh, good morning. Crap, yeah, it's morning. And it's just watching the sunset and then watching it rise again. It was so surreal. It was so surreal. But I wouldn't change it for the world. There is a reason why I'm doing it again this year, and it's not to raise more money, although that would be amazing. It is just because it is one of the greatest things I've ever done. I absolutely adored it from beginning to end. When I sit back and look back on it, it's like, I did that. You know, I actually did that.
Yeah, it was a fantastic achievement. It really was.
It was really, really good. I was a bit annoyed I couldn't have stayed up most of the time with you, but it was good that you actually did it of your own volition, raised the money, and you had a good time doing it as well. I think was the main thing.
Oh yeah, it was also the more interesting thing about it is I did it with next to no promotion. I mean, we tried. I believe Sonic Stadium didn't post it actually. It was I think I got it on Sonic Retro. I can't remember. There were quite a few of the big site, a couple of the Sonic communities did publicise it. But yeah, it was, we raised that money off our own back we didn't really get a lot of coverage on the outside world. So I'm kind of hoping this year we kind of get it a bit bigger, and it will be a lot more popular.
You can only hope. I mean, you just got to prod those right people just to get that little bit of extra promotion at the end of the day, don't you?
Yep. But I mean, at the end of the day,
the fact you've done one before will help as well. They won't think it's some sort of flash in the pan thing. It's like, this guy's serious.
Yeah,
So I think that will certainly help.
Well, I think people find with me normally is if you turn around and say you won't do this, you can't do this, I'm going to do it anyway out of spite. So
You've basically just proved that he will.
The only exception is when they say you won't play Hatsune Miku music. I don't go, okay, I'm going to play some just to spite you. It's like, no, you're right, I won't.
Yeah.
Exceptions to the rule.
He's crazy, but he's not that crazy.
No.
Pretty much all your shows are available on iTunes or Sega Media, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind, but yeah. I've still got some to do.
We don't talk about Sega Ages.
Well, Sega Ages a bit.
Saying that, you do have a really cracking podcast team at the moment, which is really powering them out as they come along, aren't you?
Yep.
Very attractive podcast team.
Yes.
And their handsomeness.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Well, I say we have all of our shows on there. Is actually Sword of Sega all on there? Like season 1 and season 2. It's all on there?
Yeah, they're all on there. Casey and Retrix have done an amazing job just getting them all up. They're incredibly quick and really dedicated to do it as well.
Oh, well, considering we only have considering we only have like 2 people to do 4 shows, 4 shows a week. Oh no, 3 shows because Late and Live is done internally. That's for 2 people. That's crap. Well, no, I'm just saying. It's just cracking. Really, it's wicked.
They really are a fantastic team.
Yeah,
and handsome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'm sure they're going to love this when this comes out, aren't they? Bloody hell!
they probably won't listen to it. They probably won't listen to it.
Let's move on a bit. I mean, quite recently, as it was mentioned earlier on, you have recently got down to redoing the Radio Sega forum and the homepage itself with what was dubbed Project 7. There's been a long and arduous history behind this.
Yeah,
I remember the front page having a widget saying it was meant to be up, last year, 2 years ago? Want to go into more about that?
The original release date for Project 7 was October 2009. And I'm sat here sort of grinning as if to say, yes, we majorly dropped the ball on that one. I think it was more the case because it did start off with Mark developing the website. I think it very much became a case of Radio Sega was a pet project and real life got in the way, and it was really unfortunate. And then I think that was half the reason why it ended up the baton ended up getting passed across to myself and Simon anyway, which purely because there was no desire and probably also there was no time.
Yeah, that was the thing. Mark then at the time, Mark was quite involved with Radio Sega, and then he became sort of a freelance web developer, and so what happened was because he needed to earn a living and I'm assuming pay off some university debts, as university people tend to build up. Obviously, paid work came first, quite rightly, and so that meant that work on Radio Sega got slower and slower until that no longer happened.
Yeah.
And I think the reason it ended up on my shoulders is because at the time I was helping Fast Feet do some behind-the-scenes coding with Fast Feet Media, if you can remember back that far.
Yes.
Before it was what it is now, yeah. Yeah, I was sort of building some stuff that linked up the forums on there and to do the sort of homepage and the sort of linking stuff. And so when Mark had or come across some sort of issue or he wanted to get some sort of feature working, I would suggest a sort of code snippets here and there. And it sort of started from there. I sort of did little bits just to fix a problem or suggest a feature, and then obviously Mark left it for paid work, and it just sort of sat there waiting for someone to pick it up. And
we did have our mistakes along the way, though. I mean, it started off being entirely coded as the website is now. And then we decided to try and do it in WordPress, and that didn't last too long. And then we decided we was going to try and use it via vBulletin, and that lasted even less time. So then we decided to go back. We decided to go back to the original idea of let's just build it from the ground up like it was meant to be. And I think our forum community were getting quite annoyed because every time we looked like we were on the right track, we were like, "Oh, Project 7's coming," and then it just stopped, and it was like, and then it wasn't, and it was like, no, we've actually gone wrong. Hang on, and it was almost as if you were pressing the undo button and going back to this original idea, and then going, well, actually, no, we could do it this way. No, that doesn't work. We'll go back and we'll try something else. So yeah, I think we are very, very guilty, and for everyone who's been with us since October 2009 and has been waiting patiently for Project 7, we do very much apologise, but it's here now. We've finished. Well, we will be finished when we get.
Obviously, we missed a trick. So we missed a trick because we released it either a week before April Fool's. So we could have teased it a bit.
We could have done it for April Fool's. We could have done it for April Fool's Day, and everyone would have thought we were joking. Like, yeah, right. And it goes, da-da! There we are. Yeah, but no, I mean, having a website in development for 2.5 years was just awful, especially when it looked so good back in 2009. I mean, I think the only good thing that we've got about it is the actual design hasn't aged. It looks and operates as good now as what it did back when we originally had it in 2009, and I think that's really, really good to see, because if we'd have got it out and it had already been outdone by its contemporaries, like the sort of sites that we want, ideally we want to be standing side by side with, stuff like Sega Addicts and Sega Bits and Sonic Stadium, sites of that. We're not trying to compete with anybody, but ideally, I'd like to be able to say that we can stand alongside them. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I've forgotten.
There are still bits that don't sort of work. Unfortunately, there's no prize for actually finding them.
No, there's not. In fact, I recently wrote my Game of the Month article. Yeah, I recently wrote my article, my Game of the Month article for April. True found some spelling mistakes, which I think she found really, really happy about, because I was joking about everything needs to be proofread, and then I went and uploaded something without proofreading it properly.
I'm just trying to help.
Yeah, no. I then go to
the bosses, can you?
No. I then go to. Well, this is the point. I then go to edit the article, and would you believe it? The edit Game of the Month button doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So it's like it has to sit here with glaringly obvious spelling mistakes, like brilliant combat, which I've got in all one word because I forgot to press the space bar, and it's sat there, and you can see it. And it's awful, and I can't do anything about it. Oh, one day, this website will be finished.
Yeah, well, it's up, and I'm quite sure. I mean, as I look for the front page, I mean, it's up, it's there. I'm sure that's something that you've got to be at least relieved about.
Oh no, very much so. It's up there, it's there, it works. You can request things without it breaking. For the most part,
which I'm sure is a major plus. After,
well, you can add some line 13 errors if you like.
No. I'd rather you didn't.
Seriously.
Hey guys, we saw that you missed we saw that you missed line 13 errors, so we put them back. That'd have been a good April Fool's joke, wouldn't it? Just gone back to the old Radio Sega.
That would have been amazing. But no, I mean. You've obviously got a lot more general Sega and Sonic news on your front page now. I mean, you've diversified into doing a bit more of a news presentation thing now, haven't you, as well?
Yes, I mean this is where I'm kind of pointing out and saying that we don't want to be competing with the places of Sega Bits and Sega Addicts, who they cover the news a lot better than we ever will, and I'm not saying that because we've got an absolutely awful news team, because we don't. I'm just all I'm basically saying is, you know, they've done that for a living, so to speak. You know, they've been doing it for a lot longer than we have. We're you know, I've lost what I'm saying again. You know, we're doing it because we'd like to offer a complete sort of offering. You know, we are Radio Sega, so why can't we cover the news in our own little way? But as I say, you know, most definitely there are going to be places that do it better than us, and I'm certainly, you know, not going to try and compete with those guys because we'll just get shouted at. I just, you know, I can't see why we can't offer that.
It gives us something to talk about on the shows as well. Having some news that we can just quickly point to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, something else you've got on the front page is the show blogs. I mean, they were there in the past. I mean, you always had a blog on the front page on the old Radio Sega front page, but the show blogs are becoming a lot more active now that you've got your new front page up as well, aren't they?
Yes.
They're really useful.
The show blogs actually, it almost seems, because the show blog wasn't, I don't believe it was something we had in the original Project 7 design document. I think that's something. Well, you know what I mean. When basically it wasn't like a literal document, but it was. We had a front page, and that was pretty much what it was. But no, it was basically. What was? Oh God, I keep forgetting what I want to say. Somewhere. No, it's because it's literally because Mr. Stream keeps sending me music. I don't think I was meant to say that. Never mind. By the time this podcast comes out, you'll probably know more about it anyway. Oopsie. Yeah, no. I don't think the show blogs was something that we originally planned to put in, because the whole idea was we was going to have news, and we was going to have a blog, and the blog got put into the old Radio Sega because it was taking too long to get this new one working. So the show blogs, I think, is our natural evolution of that, really, and I think it's amazing. I think it's good to have specific blogs for each show that we do. I think it's an excellent way for the DJs to get their name out there, you know, to get the show out. I mean, especially with something like Sword of Sega, where I'd imagine the show blog is near enough essential. You've got a story.
Oh yeah, I post pretty much every week just about not only the show itself and what's coming up, but also the RPG adventure that we do as well. Yeah. So that takes a lot of writing and stuff.
It's also sort of a link to the past. Although, hang on, wrong franchise.
What?
Yeah, because we'd introduced that into the previous version. The previous Radio Sega blog was literally everything internal to Radio Sega.
Yeah.
And so, in a sense, the show blogs are still that. It's still a Radio Sega only feature. Even though it's now trimmed down to, well, it sort of became mostly shows. But yeah, it's sort of like I said, it's sort of a link to the previous type of blog system that we had.
But I mean, I agree. I think they are essential because at the end of the day, what is our name? It's Radio Sega, so we need to let people know what's going on in our shows. And the show blogs are they're one of my favourite things about the site, certainly, because it's just it's rather than it's just this one big blog that's got loads of crap in it. Suddenly, it's okay. Well, this is what's going on in Ultrawave. This is what's going on in Sword of Sega. So there's the different blogs for each one, but then it's obviously all brought together on the front page, so you can see. All right. So that's when the next Ultrawave's on, and that's the theme for the next Sword of Sega. And there's going to be lots of swearing on Late and Live this week. You know, you can see it all there. You know,
it's definitely good to have like all that direct information on your front page instead of, you know, having to. I mean, it's not a bad thing to go on the forums. I mean, I actively, you know, say people should go to the Radio Sega forums. There's a great community in there, but it's great to have that sort of information on the front page readily available instead of having to go through certain forums, find your latest page, where it's just there in that condensed information which people can just quickly look at and read.
It's like having you've got the latest forum topics that's on the front page as well. It's only like the same thing of that is this is your entry point into the forums. This is the latest what's going on. This is the latest in the news, and this is the latest in the shows. So it's all there on the front page, and then you can then go on from there. I mean, that's what your front page should do. It should entice you into look at other things. So it's only a similar thing to that, really.
I mean, other things that we'd like to do is obviously we also have got the features and reviews as well.
Yes, you've got all reviews, past and present, and hopefully future. You know,
there's even someone there that I didn't actually write that got my name next to it.
Yeah, it's because you edited.
Well,
I stole some.
Yeah, Gabby and I noticed that thing a while back.
Yeah, don't make me add that to the suggestions thread, Simon. Don't make me add.
Yeah, I know you.
Well,
it's more than my screenful.
But no, I mean, there's quite a lot of diversifying opinions on a lot of games, which is always very good to see. And I mean, it's always good to see reviews from the part of the community that people talk to as well, so they can get your own opinions instead of just going to your everyday main website and seeing the main reviews. Because I'll be honest, I don't read stuff. I'd prefer to play the game and then I'll write something if I feel it needs it. But it's always good to see people I know and communicate with their own side of it, and I'm sure it's the same with the rest of the Radio Sega community as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you in the sense that I don't tend to listen to public opinion, and I go and buy a game or request a game so that I can play it. And unfortunately, it led me with 4 God of Thunder, and that didn't really go too well. But it's and Golden Axe, actually, Golden Axe Beast Rider. Oh my lord. I don't think that game got any QA at all. Because I can't think of any other game in recent memory where you can keep your character stood still, jump them straight up, press the jump button so they jump straight up in the air, and the character model clips to the left every single time it touches the ground. Every time. And it's like, how did nobody notice that?
Well, you'll probably find that they did, but it was too much work to change it. QA is a very funny thing. I don't really want to get into that at the moment, though.
Oh no, definitely not. I was just more talking about the fact that sometimes I don't listen to critical opinion, and I really should.
But no, I mean, it's good to see people that I know with their own opinion. As again, I'm sure the rest of the Radio Sega community probably shares the same opinion. Is there anything coming to the front page or to Radio Sega in general that you want to implement or that's coming soon that people
music
know about?
Music, lots and lots of music. Hopefully. Well, yeah, because I'll write a post about it because we'll actually be able to tell people what music we've got. In fact, actually, on the off chance that I've been really, really slack and it's not been uploaded since when this goes live, I have got somewhere in the region of 70 to 80 soundtracks that need to be uploaded to Radio Sega. I'm in the process of tagging them, but some of the beauties that I've got to come along is Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinity, House of the Dead 3, which is a bit odd because we don't have that. The Game Gear version of Gunstar Heroes, a crapload of Shinobi and Shining games. It sounds like I need to add Final Fight CD, doesn't it? For judging by tweets from the past couple of days. So, yeah, it sounds like I need to be grabbing Final Fight CD and putting that in. So I might have to write that down. Snail Maze, which if nobody's ever heard of it, it was the built-in game for the original Master System, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Was there a joke there? That was a joke, wasn't it? That was amazing.
Easier a week.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've got other stuff. I mean, I've got Vampire Night, which actually was one of the first soundtracks where I decided to change the rules for Radio Sega a bit, and that's when we started to look at soundtracks which were more, if Sega have published a game somewhere, then we will upload it, because Vampire Night was a collaborative effort between Sega and Namco. And from owning that soundtrack, and it's a pretty good soundtrack actually, we then decided to kind of expand it out a bit, and that's sort of why we've ended up with things like Bomberman Online will end up going online. Armored Core 4, I believe, is already on there. I think that's been added now. If it's not, yeah, it has. Armored Core 4 is on there. Yeah, no, I had to check. I couldn't remember. So yes, it's things like that, really.
From a technical standpoint, we tried to. Another feature that's coming soon is sort of when a particular track plays, that it shows you a little bit of artwork from that game.
Oh, right.
And not only that, a little bit more information, so sort of what console it was released on and what year it came out. I think at the moment it just sort of gives you track and game in text format. And it also now shows you who requested what particular track.
Yeah, so anyone who requests Hatsune Miku gets the shame of being told.
But put a little bit of changing artwork up there and sort of the console and the year it came out on there as well. And I suppose to add to the forum topics, V-Bulletin now has this blogging feature, which, despite it being very popular that people need to actually use it a bit more. But we can put things like latest blog entries down the side, like we've got latest forum topics.
Sounds a good idea.
Yeah, I mean the
more posting people be able to get their highlight, so to say.
Yeah, indeed. I mean the actual album artwork bit for the now playing box is going to take forever. I wouldn't be surprised if we're nearing 1,000 games on Radio Sega. In fact, actually, I'll be able to tell you in my folder. I'm going to have a look, but I would not be at all surprised if we're not far off 1,000. Oh well, 641 is my computer's count on there.
That's nearly 1,000.
Yeah, it's nearly 1,000.
It's getting there.
Yeah, round it up. Close it up.
Moving on, because I think we'll start looking to wrap this up soon. There are obviously... you've got a few positions at Radio Sega, like obviously to fill out your news team. I'm not sure if you've got spots on your review team at all, and I'm very obviously aware that you're always on the lookout for new shows. So, how about you tell people how they can apply for such things and how they can get in touch with you?
Oh well, yeah, we do still have a couple of openings on the news side of things. I've only had like one specific concrete entry so far, and it left a lot to be. You got turned. No, I've told you before. You're too important to be on the news team. No, the actual entry itself left a lot to be desired. To be fair, it wasn't what I was looking for at all, and it's most certainly something that I would not want to put on the homepage. But by the by, no, we are looking for a couple of people for the news team. I think True and M20, who are our current news posters, are doing a fantastic job with the news that they're putting on there. I'm kind of hoping to actually start posting some news myself rather soon, once I get into the habit of everything I upload needs to have a picture on it. Because otherwise I just forget and write a post and then post it and that'll do. But no, they're doing a wicked job. But I just like to kind of take some of the load off them. So we've got a couple of those, and we're always looking for reviewers. I mean, as long as there aren't like millions of people on our team, I don't mind how many people we've got on that team at all. So, I mean, if you are interested, then by all means get yourself onto Radio Sega, get registered, and send me a private message. My name is Gavi. I'm obviously the one who's got the name on the door, so to speak. So send me just a little bit of a cover statement, really, saying why you'd be interested in the job, or in the position, whichever, really. And then when it comes to shows, as long as you've got something interesting and something original, I'm more than willing to hear you out. I mean, if you've got a test broadcast that you can send over, that would be brilliant. It would be absolutely brilliant because, well, well, I'd be able to listen to it and see if it's any good. But yeah, it's to be quite fair. Whatever you're interested in, if you want to be a part of a news team, a reviews team, or if you've got a show idea that you want to try and pitch to us, just send me a message. I'm always contactable, and I will respond to you, and we'll see what we can work out. That's pretty much the long and short of it. We're open. Yeah, we are open for business. Come say hi.
It's always something good. I think we'll wrap up the show by going around you guys, and if you just want to give folks any Twitter links, YouTube links, Tumblr, whatever, social media links that people can follow you guys on.
How long have you got?
as long as you want to spiel it all out.
Well, I'll start off first. I may as well start first because I think out of all of us, I'm probably the one who's got the least. Obviously, I will start off by saying that Radio Sega does have a Twitter account. It is at Radio Sega. Shock horror.
I'll never remember that.
No. We're also on YouTube, and this is notable because very, very soon we are going to be starting to do lots of awesome things with YouTube. I say secret. If it's going to be on YouTube, it's not really secret at all, is it? We are going to be doing a lot of things with YouTube in the future, so if you want to subscribe to YouTube, it is official Radio Sega, because I think for some reason I couldn't actually have Radio Sega. I think someone had taken it, so I had to put the official in. We are on Facebook, obviously facebook.com/Radio Sega, though that hardly ever gets updated. I probably need to start adding a few more admins into there so that they can do it for me. And we also have a Google Plus page, but because Google Plus is Google Plus, I don't actually think you can link to it on there. Just do a search for Radio Sega. You'll find it. It's not hard.
You got your own personal one you want people to follow, or not so much?
Well, yeah. I mean, as I say, Google Plus, I tend to use more for just random photos that I take on my phone because it's got auto upload turned on. But I'm on there. Again, just do a search for Gavin Story. I'm the one wearing a very, very silly Sonic hat and a Radio Sega T-shirt. Not hard to find. I am on Facebook. I'm on Facebook under. I think if you go facebook.com/GJ Story. Yeah, that's me. So that's GJSTOREY. The E is important, because that's my surname. So yeah, that's me on Facebook. Although if you do add me and I don't know you, please send me a message saying, "Hi, I listen to you on YouTube. You're amazing." And I'll be like, "Thank you. You're inflated. You're stoking my ego. You get added, and you'll be a friend for life." Joke, by the way. I'm not that fickle. I am also on Twitter. Come and follow my incessant rambling on at Gavi UK, because again somebody else had stolen Gavi and he was Dutch, and I don't really think you'd want to follow him. I don't know if he says anything interesting, but yeah, Gavi UK is me.
That's cool.
Have I got anything else? I did have a MySpace. No, I haven't got a Tumblr. I did have a MySpace, but nobody cares about that anymore. So I'm on MySpace. I was on MySpace. I still am.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not one of these people who's like, "Oh my god, I was so totally on Bebo, and I was on Habbo Hotel. Habbo was amazing." Apart from when all the people were like, "Oh my god, the pool's closed. Pool's closed due to AIDS." No, I'm not one of these people. I actually no, tell a lie. I was on Habbo. I was on Habbo when I was 12. You know, and
Next, moving on. Moving on. Who wants to go next?
I suppose most of us have got access to the Radio Sega stuff, but I suppose the easiest way to find me is probably through my website, which is foreversonic.me.uk. Got a sort of WordPressy type blog on there because I sort of set that up before we got the blogs on Radio Sega. But there are links to all sorts of places on there. I've got 2 Last.fm accounts.
I'm on Last.fm.
One of them links to me with all the stuff that I listen to, which you could probably look at and laugh.
Which is?
I think the address for that is last.fm /foreversonic user, I think it is last.fm/user/foreversonic. There's a link on there. And that's the one I listen to. But there's also one on there that's last.fm /music/Forever Sonic, and that's got me as an artist on there because I've got a couple of tracks. I'd started to make an album which I dubbed Sonic Unplugged, which was sort of an acoustic rendition of some of the Mega Drive Master System tracks. So you can actually download the 3 tracks I've got through Last.fm, or you can get it through my Bandcamp page, which again is linked off my website.
Just to interject, or you could also download the Sonic Stadium Community album because they're on there as well.
They're upgraded on there. There's sort of slight added effects on there too. But yes, the SSMB Community Project is another place to find. I don't actually know what the website for that is, but yeah, you'll find me there.
I don't know. Do a search for it.
Facebook is fairly easy. Facebook.com/ForeverSonic. I don't know. So I've got loads of sort of places. The website's the easiest place to find me. If you're on Radio Sega, you'll see a link in my signature if you've forgotten it already, and it's got some stuff on there.
That's cool.
If you want to get hold of me, you can email me, residentsd@radiosega.net. I'm at residentsd on Twitter. Google plus.ly/residentsd will take you to my page on there. I don't like Facebook, so don't worry about that. You can get me on, obviously, the Radio Sega forums. I'm residentsd, user ID number 10. Take that, you 2000 odd numbers, 10.
Yes.
OG Radio Sega me, or of course the rest of the guys of Mr. Tricky, because the best place to get hold of me is 11 o'clock on a Friday night during Late and Live, if you come in the chat room, because my show's on then, so that's the best.
Damn it!
All the other stuff rubbish, you know. Late and Live, that's the best way to
well,
get hold of me.
if we're plugging shows, then I'm on 10 o'clock UK time, Saturday Night Sega. Every Saturday night, obviously, because that's the name of the show.
Is it iTunes.com/podcast/ numbers?
Let's not start that. Yeah, we're also on iTunes. All of us are on iTunes.
Which you get by your Apple TV if you've got an Apple TV. Just search radiosega.net and you'll find them on there.
What about you, True?
Well, you can find me on the radiosega.net forum under Captain Cloud Chaser. I'd like to think I'm fairly active on there, so just send me a private message or something. Although I've been ignoring them all recently, so I'll read them eventually. Obviously, I host Sort of Sega on Wednesday nights at 9 PM, so you can find me on there. You can probably find me on Twitter under True Smiles, although I am trying to change it back to Captain Cloud Chase. I'm just waiting for that to allow me to eventually.
Okay.
But yeah.
No, that's fine. No, is there anything else you guys want to link about at all? Last minute?
Just radiosega.net.
We are amazing.
Everything we do is there. You can contact us all there. You can listen to our shows there. Links to everything that's on Sega Media and iTunes. And if you're old school and like to use like Juice or something like that for your podcast, and if anybody does anymore, but if you do, feeds are on there. I mean, really, everything you could ask for to do with us is there, really. So find us there.
Yep.
That's cool.
I can't really say anything else.
No, that's fine. But it just leaves me to say thank you to my Radio Sega guests, Gavi, Simon, Steve, and True. All the links that you've heard will be in the description box below this video, so go click them after the video ends and go check out all the wonderful people that you've listened to tonight. If you do have a comment, feel free to write it in the drop-down box below. And if you do have any suggestions of who you'd like to see in the future, please feel free to write them in the comments. They will all get read and replied to if I get the time to reply to them.
We should do another one for Radio Sega.
Go on then.
I was going to say we should do another one for Radio Sega.
Oh, well, there's always time in the future. I don't think I'm going to do another one just quite so soon. Let's let the first one sink in first.
Or either that, or let Captain Cloud Chaser have one because she hasn't said anything in this show. So just do one on her. I think that would be a good idea.
Community Spotlight on Sort of Sega.
Yeah, there we go.
I'd listen to that.
I'm quite sure a lot of people will.
It'd probably be more fun if I was drunk that time.
Less said about that, the better, though.
Yeah.
It's goodbye from me, and I'm sure everyone else in the chat will say goodbye now as well.
Yeah, it's goodbye from me.
Bye. Thank you.
Goodbye.
And it's
Have a good
goodbye
one.
from him.
Yep. Bye, everyone. Have a good evening. I hope you've enjoyed listening, and I'll catch you next time on the Community Spotlight. Good night.